there, welcome to 6th edition for today. I am Chisom Okafor. As always, let's begin with the top stories at this hour. Police Cybercrime Centre traces suspected criminal proceeds, arrest fraud suspect. Troops of the Nigerian Army foil abduction attempt, rescue 14 victims in Zamfara State. And 95 reported dead, many still missing as flash floods devastate Nepal. Details in a moment. Now, the Nigerian Police Force National Cybercrime Centre says it has traced over 3.6 billion naira in suspected criminal proceeds converted to cryptocurrency as its operatives arrested suspects linked to investment fraud, romance scam, identity theft and impersonation. The Assistant Inspector General of Police in charge of the centre, Akanyene Ezima, disclosed this in Abuja, saying that Kelechi Ihekere, owner of K-Star Technology, was arrested in Lagos over alleged investment fraud and money laundering, with the funds converted to USDT through Bybit. In another operation, he revealed that David Temitope was arrested over alleged business email compromise, with more than 12.5 million victim email logs recovered and linked to victims in over 50 countries. Emeka Anthony and Ogboji Emeka were arrested in Anambra State over alleged identity theft and trading in pre-registered SIM cards. And Babatunde Idowu, alias CSP Bamishe, arrested for allegedly impersonating senior police officers and defrauding a victim of 17 million naira.
This included the inward transfers to the listed companies that I mentioned above earlier. That's Ama Digital, JPM Pro Online, and JPM Enterprise Trading. Further investigation revealed that this 3.6 billion, which is proceeds of crime, was converted into USDT through a wallet address and peer-to-peer transactions and sent as cryptocurrency to the final beneficiaries. Emeka Anthony admitted to being a registered toolkit operator with MTN and Airtel and engaging in the buying and selling of both registered and unregistered SIM cards. He further admitted creating a social media profile using the identity of Catherine Harry, purportedly a United Kingdom citizen, with the intention of defrauding individuals in India. The suspect stated that he was introduced to the fraudulent activity by one Alhaji who is currently at large.
Troops of Sector 2 Operation Fasanyama have foiled an attempted abduction and rescued 14 kidnapped victims in Rano Local Government Area of Zamfara State. The troops acted on credible intelligence about armed attackers in the area. The soldiers engaged the group, forcing them to abandon their vehicle and flee into nearby bushes. A follow-up search led to the discovery and rescue of the captives. One victim sustained gunshot wounds and was taken to the General Hospital Safe for treatment, while no security personnel were injured. The intervention prevented the planned abduction and secured the freedom of the victims. To health matters now. Reports of a diphtheria outbreak in Rano Local Government Area of Kano State have left 50 children dead, raising serious concerns from residents and government alike. Our correspondent Stephen Enoch is in Rano, where he has been speaking with residents, health workers and other stakeholders to establish what is happening on the ground, the circumstances surrounding the reported deaths and responses to the outbreak. Stephen is now live with the latest.
This is Rurum in Rano Local Government Area of Kano State, where 50 people were reported dead. And I'm on the street now. I'm just going to the grave sites where some of them were buried, and I got, across some people who thought we were health officials coming to give their children, treatment. I was speaking with one of them whose child died a few days ago. So kagamana ya yaranka ta mutu.
Alhamdulillah ni yaro ne. Kuma yanda ya mutu da farko dai abin da ya kama shi kaman yanzu an gaya mu. To muka je kemis suka tura mu asibiti aka ba magunguna. Amma da gari ya waye baya iya cin abinci. Kuma an yi kwana 1, 2, 3 sai ga wani ruwa nan ta hancinsa. In ya ci abinci sai ya dawo ta hancinsa baya iya cin abinci baya wani abu kuma duk abin da ka bai ta hanci za a gani kaga jini ina zubowa to kwata-kwata bai fi kwana 7 ba gaskiya kawai nan cikinsa ya kama ciwo bayan nan din baya iya cin abinci kuma har Allah ya masa rasuwa.
So he said his son actually had that disease, diphtheria, and it happened when he realized that he had the diphtheria disease. He took him to the chemist and they gave him some drugs, and even the drugs they gave him was not sufficient because after the white substance, got behind his tongue, anytime the child eats, the food comes out through his nose, and at some point the child started having some substance coming out from his nose. He had some high fever, and after 7 days he died. So while we were walking on the road, we saw a man who thought we were health officials, and he brought his children to us thinking that we would give them the drug. So as you can see, this little girl here, she has the diphtheria, and this other little girl here, both of them, they are at the early stage of the disease. So it's something that is very alarming because almost everywhere you can see children having diphtheria. So Germana, yaran kasuna fama da wannan abun.
Ita wannan je ta fara. Wannan kuma sun kuma daga kafa za a yi musu. Amma wannan je ta fara. Yanzu da je asibiti.
All right. So he said that it was just yesterday that they saw symptoms of diphtheria in this little girl, and this other one too is also showing symptoms of diphtheria. Now he's taking her to the hospital. So it's something that is very alarming, and it's something that the government needs to work on, because in this particular local government area, they don't have an isolation center as we were told when we went to Rano Hospital. So it is something that needs to be addressed at the moment, and it is spreading like wildfire. It is over to you in the studio.
Well, thank you very much, Stephen and our correspondent there, bringing us some update. We've been following up on this story. Now we're being joined by Professor Mohammed Adamu, who is the Director General, Kano State Centre for Disease Control. Prof, very good to have you. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
Very well. Prof, let us begin with you confirming the exact number of deaths so far, because there seems to be a data gap between the 50 deaths that we have been reporting, stated by the State Assembly, and like the 32 cases confirmed by your agency. Let's begin with that.
Yes, thank you for having me. The Kano State Centre for Disease Control has officials in all local governments of Kano State. The list per local government is having 2 officials. Others could have 3 or 4 of these disease surveillance and notification officers. And one interesting thing is these disease surveillance and notification officers give us daily update of what is happening in their own domain, because they work with people we call surveillance focal persons in the hospitals, like the general hospitals and the primary healthcare centers. And they also work with community informants. They work with community leaders, such as the imams and the traditional leaders. So these people collate information daily and they report to us. Interestingly, when we had the number 50, we still worked with our local government team, beefed them up with the state team to go and find out. What we have on ground is 32 cases from Rano. I was listening to your reporter about the isolation center. Isolation centers are not supposed to be in all local governments. What we have is decentralized diphtheria treatment center, in which the General Hospital Rano is one of them. So the numbers we have from January to August are really 32. 25 of them were mild cases, while 7 of them were severe cases who were taken to the isolation center here in infectious disease.
Where did the figure 50 come from that has been widely spread? Where did that figure come from very quickly?
Yes, we had of the 50 on the floor of the State Assembly. We were not contacted. The Honorable Commissioner of Health was not also in the picture. So when we had 50, we still went down to our own local government officials who went to the local government doing what we call a community active search. We interacted with the community leaders, the Mengwas, and the numbers are still what we have. So we think possibly, we are not asserting, but we think possibly this 50 might have come from people who do not come to hospital.
Okay.
Because these cases, we had something similar, though on a lesser magnitude in the late days of October 2025. That's precisely 1 year ago. And we realized they had traditional barbers who caught the bull neck of this diphtheria, and we even engaged them in training. So this aspect, thank you.
All right, Professor, very quickly, in 30 seconds, please. Our reporter on ground, the parents there with their kids, said they were going to the hospital. We have 55% of affected patients being zero-dose children. Like, when they do get to the hospital, from that report you saw, what can they see on ground? What are specific field strategies that are being deployed on ground? In 30 seconds, sir.
So whenever we have cases, we are faced with two problems. Number one is the case management. We manage these patients appropriately, mostly with antibiotics and then other symptomatic care. What we do is we go back to the community where these children come out. We give vaccines, what we call reactive vaccination. So we vaccinate children in that area. Sometimes even adults are given this vaccine. So we do reactive vaccination, and we also give the cases case management. That's we treat them with drugs as appropriate.
All right, Director General, Kano Centre for Disease Control. We've been having that conversation. Professor Mohammed Adamu, thank you for taking out the time this evening to educate us.
Thank you for having me.
We'll go on a short break now. When we return, still on petrol subsidy removal and many more. Stay with us. We continue the news with the fuel subsidy conversation that has been on for days now. 3 years after Nigeria scrapped its petrol subsidy, the reform remains deeply divisive. Government says it has strengthened public finances. Critics point to rising living cost. With the 2027 elections approaching, the policy is becoming a major political fault line. News Central's Love Ikuku Oyedokun reports.
No provision is there for fuel subsidy. The fuel subsidy is gone.
On May 29, 2023, President Bola Tinubu announced the end of Nigeria's petrol subsidy regime. The decision immediately pushed pump prices higher, with consequences that spread across the economy. For consumers, the impact was immediate. Transport fares rose, businesses faced higher operating costs, and moving food from farms to markets became more expensive.
The subsidy that they removed, we are not seeing what they are using it for. We are not really seeing it. Our hospitals are still down, everywhere is still, the road is bad, everything is still there. Yet, we are still buying the fuel very expensive. So what's the impact? No impact.
The rate we are buying for now is very, very, because especially if you are doing transport. So you have to, people normally put price for the transport. But the fuel is, I don't know how to put it, but it's not, I don't know how to put it, like seriously, but it's very, very worst.
But the reform also changed government finances. With subsidy payments reduced, more revenue has flowed into the Federation accounts. The government says the additional funds are supporting infrastructure and other development priorities. But economists say the real test is whether increased revenues are translating into stronger growth and better living standards.
In July now, food inflation has gone up to 20%. That is significant. Headline inflation is 15%, food inflation is 20%. And when you talk about the vulnerable segments of the society, this is where the pain really is. The cost of food and the cost of transportation and cost of energy products.
The economic pain has also become a political fault line. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has criticized the policy and proposed a modified subsidy or price stabilization system if elected. The Tinubu administration argues that returning to the old system will recreate the fiscal burden and market distortions that prompted its removal.
Some data put consumption in the month of January this year at 60.2 million liters per day. But it also admitted that, there were reduction along the months. So if we take an average of, say, 50 million liters a day times 700 naira per liter times 365 days in a year, Mr. Atiku, we did about 13 trillion naira to finance that.
Everybody agrees that the withdrawal of fuel subsidy has created major crisis, especially in terms of the inflation, cost of transportation, cost of production. Quite a number of costs went up. There's no doubt about that. But the way to tackle the issue is not to go back to that terrible regime of a distortionary state, but to look at how we can mitigate the consequences of that reform, the consequences of the fuel removal.
Meanwhile, government is pursuing alternatives, including CNG-powered transport, agricultural support, and other interventions aimed at easing the transition. But analysts say the pace of implementation will be critical.
One thing that is difficult to argue is that there have been some macroeconomic benefit that has happened. But the question remains, those macroeconomic benefits, have they percolated down the ladder? And the truth is that they have not significantly done so.
For Nigerians, the question is whether the money freed by subsidy removal can translate into lower cost, better public services, and more jobs.
We hear say the subsidy, she removed the subsidy, but the thing is not like as remove the subsidy, things supposed to come down.
It's what we just want government to do for us. All this our market should come down more and more, so that the sales will be moving. There's no money outside. People, they are complaining about money, that there's not much outside.
The life we don't tire person now. You don't tire person now. Since morning now, how much I don't for my pocket. As the thing costs, you know, grip person sell. If you come today buy 100 naira, tomorrow they will sell you at 300. And if you come here, people where they buy and go still buy, may they buy the sheep as they buy them before.
3 years on, the reform has changed Nigeria's finances. Whether it has changed Nigeria's lives for the better remains the bigger question. From Lagos, for News Central, Love Ikuku Oyedokun.
It's the third day we are on this conversation. From day one, we started with the aid to Atiku Abubakar. Day two, we had an economist in the studio. And day three, I'm now being joined by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Temitope Ajayi. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Good evening. Good to be here.
Good to have you. Now let's begin with this. Your government points to new minimum wage, student loan schemes, and many other progress, as you call it, as direct benefits of the subsidy savings. However, just like we watched, critics, labor unions are arguing that soaring food inflation, high transportation costs have completely swallowed those gains. How does your administration plan to bring stability? Stability.
Of course, there is a stability already in the economy, and I think that is what everybody has agreed on. Even the critics of the administration have actually come out to say, this government, President Tinubu's government, in 3 years has been able to achieve macroeconomic stability. And before you can deal with other issues of development, issues of economy, issues of how individuals feel in an economy, whether there is money in our pocket or there is food on the dinner table, you need to first of all fix the macroeconomic fundamentals, because that is actually the substructure upon which every other thing rests. Without fixing your macroeconomic environment, nothing else can work. It means that businesses will not be able to do well. they will not be able to hire. In fact, they will be retrenching.
So
that will compound the economic woes of the citizens.
So how has that been going in 3 years? If the subsidy removal was meant to rescue Nigeria from bankruptcy, corruption, and the rest, why is our national debt profile still rising so sharply?
No, the national debt is not rising.
It is.
No, look, I will explain it to you. What we have seen in dollar terms, our national debt is actually decreasing. But in naira terms, of course, because of devaluation.
But we have to use naira.
The issue is there is no country in the world that has all the resources that it needs to fund every developmental initiative. There is no country in the world. And that is why you see most governments around the world, even the most developed, the richest economy. America is owing 43. As at last week, American debt climbed $40 trillion. So there is no country in the world, and you can fact check it.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me learn. That has all the money that you need to fund the development your people require, whether in education, in healthcare, in infrastructure. And that is why you see government you either run a balanced budget deficit, or budget surplus. But as it is today, I don't think that's any country in the world that is even running a budget surplus. I'm not sure, there might be, but I'm not sure. So virtually every government in the world today is running on a deficit. And what does deficit mean? It means you don't have all the money you need. So then how do you, and there are only two ways by which you can reduce your deficit, either by increasing revenue, by raising taxes, or by borrowing. So the issue is our debt level is okay under our Fiscal Responsibility Act.
As 159.35 trillion. I mean, you mentioned America at 40.
That is barely.
We are over 159 trillion.
Naira, not naira. Naira. That one is $40 trillion. No, sorry, our one is 140, about $100 billion rather. You are correct. But America is 40 trillion. 40 trillion.
I'm glad you mentioned I am correct. When can Nigerians start seeing the tangible impact of these savings? It's 3 years.
We are already seeing it.
About to be 4 years.
No, Nigerians are already seeing
Nigerians are not. We just heard them.
Nigerians are, and I will tell you. Once Nigeria can see the roads that are being rehabilitated across the country. And there is no state out of the 36 states in Nigeria today, an FCT, where you don't have at least 3 or 4 major federal highways being reconstructed or being rehabilitated. That is at the level of federal government. And I know there is no state that you go today that you don't see improvement in whether the state governments are funding, improving public education, improving public health. You will see, and they are improving access to rural areas. They are increasing investment in agriculture. So it's not correct to say that people are not seeing the benefit. People are seeing it. The argument will be a critical, we need it, the critical mass need to feel it more. And that is what government continues to do.
Now, opposition leaders are now talking about this. Atiku Abubakar is promising a 2027 reversal by introducing what he calls a production-based subsidy model tied to local crude allocation rather than import. Why do you think it's unsustainable? The presidency says it's unsustainable.
But Atiku, what former vice president has said, with all due respect to him, as a statesman and as a leader in his own right, is desperate. He wants to be president at all costs. You don't forget that he has been contested president of Nigeria since 1993. So it's an obsession. And don't forget that 4 years ago, he was campaigning vigorously on subsidy removal. He was campaigning, he was going to remove subsidy. His corruption is not benefiting Nigerians. 4 years down the line, he has recanted. There's a vote phase. Now saying he's going to bring it back. But he has not told us how he's going to bring it back. He has not told us the cost.
But with them coming,
he has not told us how he's going to do it.
But with them coming with this, with these figures, coming up with these promises, as you say, they
it's
are
just trying to gimmick. deceive Nigerians.
But it is clear for them to come up with this. It is clear that the public remains, if you can call it, unhappy with the economic fallout. So how does your administration, before we wrap up, how does the Tinubu administration plan to, win back the public interest on this issue before the election cycle?
Because Nigerians trust President Tinubu. Don't forget that 3 major candidates in last election campaigned on almost the same issues of subsidy removal, foreign exchange realignment. But Nigerians looked at the record of the 3 principal candidates, and Nigerians trusted President Tinubu to be able to deliver on those promises. That is why they voted for him. And from day one, he has been working for the past 3.5 years to recalibrate the economy. And that is why you are seeing this sustained growth in the last 24 months. That is why you are seeing that our stock market is one of the most performing in the world as of today. That is why you are seeing that the next quarter growth projection by NB, the next quarter is projected to grow at 4.5%. That is, we have not seen that growth in the last 10 years. That is why you are seeing that investment, foreign direct investment, are returning to the economy. Just last year alone, we had almost $4.5 billion in FDI. And it has been growing. That is why you see that our non-oil export revenue is growing.
I believe what Nigerians are looking at is when this growth, like you mentioned, will be felt by majority of the masses.
It will.
Again, it's been almost 4 years and it's not been felt. Nigerians would argue that it's not.
Nigerians, civil servants who are being paid now, pensioners who cannot get their pension every month will tell you that they are feeling the impact.
We have our main politics show coming in Abuja. Politics HQ is coming to Abuja. So we are hoping to have you, not just on this conversation, but many more conversations. So be on the lookout from that. From Monday, we're going to be having Politics HQ in Abuja, and we're going to be having Temitope Ajayi join us.
I will have more time to...
I will definitely have more time, exactly. But for now, we have to drop it here. The Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Temitope Ajayi. Thank you for taking out the time this evening, as short as you may call it. Now, the rising cost of living continues to put pressure on households as the prices of food, transport, and other essentials remain high. But how are Nigerians adjusting to the higher cost of everyday life? What are they cutting back on? And do they expect prices to ease anytime soon? Our senior business correspondent, Joanna Mustafa, takes reactions from Nigerians on how they are coping with the rising cost of living.
Thank you for having me. Of course, the cost of living crisis in Nigeria has become a major problem. Yes, we have headline inflation declining, but if you look at the components, food inflation keeps going up, and a lot of Nigerians spend a significant part of their income on feeding. So how are they coping with the rising cost of goods and services? I have with me Larry. He is an estate surveyor. He's going to share his experience dealing with the cost of living crisis. Thank you for joining us, Larry.
Thank you very much. Well, the cost of living generally has been on the increase in Nigeria generally. And everyone is, one way or the other trying to work around it. So,
how have you been working around it?
Well, I'm a professional, and somehow our own, we're in a class of the economy.
So they feel them?
Of course, everyone feels it. Okay. But the rate at which everyone feels, at which each individual feels, differs. It differs. However, generally, looking at the inflation, the cost of living actually is even higher than what the macroeconomic indices is showing. So
the numbers are not reflecting the reality. Now, I know that you're a family man. How have you been dealing with, I'm sure, your wife going to the market, asking for more money and all of that? How has that changed? Has your budget had to increase? Are you buying less goods and services?
Of course, the budget has to increase. And just like I said earlier, we work around it.
How? So we want to know how you are dealing with it. How are you managing to work around it?
The cost, whatever we've been spending before, we have to face the reality. Okay. We have to increase. And any way we can, minimize expenses, we do that. just to, balance things out.
What part of, you said minimize expenses, what part of your expenses has felt it the most? What have you had to stop doing or do less of?
Well, for example, if you are talking about some certain subscription, we cut short. Because nowadays, how many people actually even sit down to watch TV? What we do nowadays, a lot of people spend most of their, their relaxation time on their phone, doing one or two things. The internet is so loaded right now with so many things that you barely even have time for sitting down to watch TV. Even every news, you are seeing them on YouTube. Every news, I don't want to mention names, because you are also, so we can watch them on YouTube. And from my own experience, even monthly subscriptions, there's been really no need for it. And if I'm looking at my children, we have a lot of kiddies, a lot of programs, that are downloaded, and we can always still keep downloading to, get them, enlightened and entertained, at least in their own level. As per parents, there is this parental monitoring that we have to put into consideration. So we monitor what we feed them with.
We also have with us now Shaggy. He's a content creator. Thank you for joining us, Shaggy. How are you dealing with the increasing cost of goods and services?
The way I see the country, I know say the country, easy. Yeah, it's not easy for anybody, you understand. But as based on what you get for market, what you get for hand, say this like what we did. Big man they shop, poor man must shop. Understand. When you don't they make big man they shop, and when you don't they make poor man they shop, big man must also shop. Say you get at all, you go see manage what you get. Understand. If I get like 500,000 now, understand. If I go market, I know what I go buy. Sometimes I feel use all the 500,000, make a check come house based on saying our food for house. Understand. But normal, as food don't cost like this, I manage you. 20,000 day your pocket. Say you go save 10,000 naira. Because if you not save far, hunger will kill you because you don't know tomorrow.
Your babe dey vex say money no dey sometimes. So how should they take manage you? Manage the situation?
That's one. My baby not dey complain. I don't know. I know they see say we wear the same clothes. She not dey complain. That's why I love her. She not dey complain no matter how the situation be. Understand? She not dey complain. So I don't know how food not take the house. If I get any small thing where I get, she dey manage with me. But I don't know about another people. I don't get that situation before. We say I get one babe. We say now when I get money, now she dey like me. So it dey like that. We say she go dey complain. Go work this one. If this one don't favor you, go do another work. It dey happen like that. So, but I don't go because of say I don't get money. Make I leave my work what I dey do before. I'll see the do and since the work they favor me they go. Now because of say the country they one kind, that is why the work too one day one kind. So I need to.
So you don't find understanding babe for this economy?
Person order for this not be this economy. She in any time she dey understand me.
Thank you very much, Shaggy, for your perspective, and over to you in the studio.
Very interesting perspective indeed. From the economy to politics. As preparations for the 2027 general elections gather pace, concerns are being raised over access to the voters' registration process. Civil society groups are now calling on INEC to extend the continuous voter registration exercise to accommodate Nigerians who have turned 18 and are eligible to vote. Now, from one of the civil society organizations, I have Kenneth Eze, Lead Director, Speak Out Africa Initiative. Good evening, Kenneth.
Good evening.
Thank you for joining us this evening.
You're welcome.
Now, you recently warned that closing the registration creates like an 84-day gap before the 2027 polls. What is your response to INEC's argument that legally they need this exact window to clean up voter register, block duplicate entries and the rest?
Okay, thank you. Maybe it will be better when you don't add legally. they need this.
That's what they said.
No, if you had said, I'm not disputing, if you had said that they said they need this time frame to clean the register, that is wonderful. But when you say legally, then you are, you are trying to let us to look at where did they drive that particular legality or legal power. And my mind take me very straight to Section 9, subsection 6 of the Electoral Act, which says that the commission shall not less than 90 days, perform all these processes, administrative processes, such as cleaning of the register, revising it, pasting it, including people, voters to come, check, make corrections, and finally they'll be able to print and distribute their PVC. So, and this has been the bone of contention, because in that section 9, subsection 6, it says not later than 90 days. So the bone of contention over there, critics has been saying that, so we're actually, if the Electoral Act, the section 9, subsection 6 is saying not later than 90 days, how come the INEC is interpreting it to be another thing? And that was why I said, maybe you would have not put that legally. So INEC is saying that not later than 90 days means that they can take even beyond 90 days. They can take just like they've done now. And so, but the overall interest we're looking at is democracy itself is for the people. When there is no participation, when people are shortchanged, when people are short, the doors are shut at people, then it's no longer democracy. Now, a lot of arguments are over there. Some are saying, so how come these people had waited 11 months? 11 months because the CVR started in August 18th, 2025, and INEC ended it finally on July 26th, which is about 11 months. But people forgot that there are a lot of circumstances, unfavorable circumstances, that prevented Nigerians, willing Nigerians, such as beavers malfunctioning, such as network disruption, such as inadequacy of beavers. We saw one beaver, attending to a very mammoth crowd. And this difficulty made it so difficult that people were unable to register even with the deadline that came and passed. So when you aggregate all this, putting it side by side, by Nigerians who turned 18 every day, about 12,000 plus of Nigerians, according to the report, turns 18. If you are to accumulate all these things, we are talking about from the time INEC ended the civil exercise in July 26, 2026, till when election is coming up in January 17, we are talking about 174 days as against the 90 days, not later than 90 days.
So if INEC does deny the extension, what other alternative, maybe grassroots strategies will your initiative use to engage disenfranchised youth? Thank you. Not just my initiative, we're 20 civil society organizations that endorsed the statements and that went to INEC today. A lot is going to be done. Now, INEC has an online self-service where people can stay without even going physically to the center to do that. People have also explored that, even though, of course, there are some glitches in terms of network, which you can't blame INEC. But these are things we also say that they should factor into. So a lot are being done by the civil society organization to be able to make sure that, especially those who turn 18, will not be taken. These are the same people who have reached out to us. We've put up a signed petition and say, please, can INEC reopen this CVR so that we can be able to participate in this election? Because it's very, very critical to us. By next 4 years, these people that are 18 will be 22. And a lot of things must have happened in their life. So these civil society organizations, the election stakeholder, Democrats, are putting up a lot on ground to be able, and that is why we are speaking for them. Right. Of course, we're not speaking ourselves. And we thank the INEC today. We were received by the National Commissioner, Professor Abdullahi, the Northwest National Commission, representing Northwest. Okay. And we hope, because we believe the INEC has a listening here. Right. And the overall interest, as I draw cutting, is the perception that people are having that they want to scheme them out. So perception is very important to what INEC is doing. Absolutely. So that they will know that INEC is there for their interest. And we're also happy that INEC is going to consider to reopen. And that's why we're asking for an extension of 30 days. Right. Not too much for INEC to do. And by that, Nigerians are going to leverage and explore
and take advantage of that opportunity
An exception
when
of
given that
30
chance.
days. Lead Director,
30 days.
Speak Out Africa Initiative, Kenneth Eze.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming this evening.
You are welcome. Thank you, News Central.
Now we'll take a moment. When we return, residents of our Leto community in Rivers State raise alarm over week-long gas pipeline emission. Stay with us. It is still the 6th edition. Thank you for being there. Fear is mounting in the Leto community, Rano Local Government Area of Rivers State, following the eruption of a gas pipeline, raising concerns of a possible fire or explosion. Locals say the damaged facility has been spewing gas for about a week, with no authority or operator yet identified to take responsibility for the leak. They say the continuous release of gas is putting their health and lives at risk. The residents, who say they are being taken for granted, are calling on relevant authorities to urgently identify the operators of the facilities and take immediate action to stop the leak before it results in a major disaster. News Central's Biola Festus has been speaking to residents of Aleto and now gives us more update.
This is yet another environmental hazard in Rano Local Government Area of Rivers State. Now, here behind me is a gas pipeline that has ruptured. Locals say this has been spewing gas for the past 1 week. Now, Rano Local Government Area in Rivers State is the host to the Port Harcourt refinery and several other multinational companies in Rivers State. Now, this menace has been going on for a week, and as we came here, we saw youths of this area. They are actually not pleased with this happening here. They say the people, the owners of this gas pipeline, are allegedly taking them for granted because they believe that such an incident should have been taken care of a day after at most. But they tell me that this has been going on for the past 1 week and no authority has come here to identify the actual owners of this gas pipeline. They also did tell me that this barricade, this caution tape, was put here just a few moments ago before we came. And so we have the youth leader of this community, and we would like to speak with him to tell us how this has been, especially on the health of the people. Thank you so much, comrade, for your time.
Thank
okay,
you very much.
This is going on in your community. Yes. What says you?
Okay, we are very angry for the negligence of the owners of this gas pipeline, because for over a week now, this thing has been like this, and nobody has ever come here to look at it. If not for the intervention of the DSS and the police today, before they just called me that some persons came here and did this barricade. Before I could rush down there, they have left. So it is, I don't understand how they want us to live. This, you can see what's happening here. And of course, you know, this is a pressure gas pipeline, and all the people living around here are in danger because it can explode fire any moment from now. So I don't know what they are doing about it, and we are not happy.
Okay, I see houses around. How densely populated is this area?
This place is massively populated. You can see it is just because of this pipeline here. That's why if you look all over these places, there are houses down to the new road. There are houses down to the new, and there are a lot of people here. So I don't know why they are neglecting this thing.
All right, this building behind you, is it a company or a residential home?
It's a company. It's a company. There are other residential homes around this side, but these ones are companies. All these places you are seeing are companies.
So this is a gas flare, and it could be dangerous. How have you been able to manage your people, especially to prevent an open flame coming close?
Okay, what happened is after we saw it, and then we'll try to sensitize the people around here not to be passing around this area, and also to avoid carrying anything that is inflammable around this area. That's what we've been doing. We've been sensitizing them to tell them that this thing can ignite fire, so they have to stay far away from it.
All right, so let me also ask one of the men here, health-wise, how have you people been managing? Can you talk to us about that? Okay, health-wise.
Yeah, as you can see, this is very dangerous to human health, and it can cause lots of sicknesses to the people living in this environment. And we really want to express our displeasure to whosoever, the companies in charge of this pipeline. Please, we are begging them. We are peace-loving people. We don't take laws into our hands. They should consider the menace this might cause to the health of the people living around here. We have children here. We have our aged parents here. Please, they should do something to this effect and make sure that they restore normalcy to this pipeline.
Thank you so much. So this, as they say, is a populated area. This a school is just right there. A stone throw, that's a school, a primary school over there. And of course, even the land where the rupture happened is somebody's farm. This is cassava. And so you can see that this place is at high risk at the moment. And this is happening at a time when the federal government is having discussions with the Ogoni people on the resumption of oil activities in this area. So the onus now lies on the authorities, both at the local and the federal, to see how these can be contained, as the people say.
Well, thank you very much, BLF Estes, for being on ground there and bringing us this report. And please do stay safe. And we're hoping that something is being done very quickly. That looks very worrisome. The federal government has moved the acquisition and deployment of NIGE-COMSAT 2A and NIGE-COMSAT 2B into the next phase following Federal Executive Council approval for the 2 next-generation high-throughput communication satellites. The satellites to be deployed by Nigeria Communication Satellite Limited are designed to expand the nation's satellite capacity and strengthen broadband, broadcasting, enterprise, and critical communications services. The deployment is expected to extend connectivity to underserved, unserved, and hard-to-reach communities, strengthen national communications resilience, and increase Nigeria's capacity to deliver satellite E-enabled services. NIGE-COMSAT will also lead implementation under the supervision of the Federal Ministry of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy. To Uganda now, where the military chief Muhoozi Kainerugaba and son of President Yoweri Museveni has announced plans to run for president in 2031, raising speculation that he could succeed his father, who has ruled Uganda since 1986. Kainerugaba, who is 52, said on X that he would contest the country's highest office and predicted a 90% victory with Museveni's support. He previously considered running in 2026, but later withdrew. Museveni, 81, won his 7th term in January 2026, while it remains unclear whether he will seek another term in 2031. Kainerugwaba's declaration has placed succession at the center of Uganda's political debate. At least 22 people have been killed and hundreds are missing after a massive flash flood swept through villages in Nepal's mountainous Rasua district. Officials say 384 tourists, including visitors from the United Kingdom, United States, India and Malaysia, are among those reported missing. Floodwaters have destroyed roads, bridges and power projects, while helicopters have been unable to land in the worst hit areas. Residents along the Botekoshi River have been urged to move to higher ground. Across the border, China's Tibet region also reported casualties and missing people following a mudslide. And that is all at this hour. Before we go, let us take another look at some of our major stories. Police Cybercrime Centre traces suspected criminal proceeds, arrests fraud suspects. Troops of the Nigerian Army foil abduction attempt, rescue 14 victims in Zamfara State. And we told you that 95 persons have been reported dead, many still missing as flash floods devastate Nepal. Remember, you can send in your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on your screen. Follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, on GoTV channel 23, Star Times, channel 274, on Able TV, and of course on YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Chisom Okafor, and I'll see you tomorrow.